So today we will take our learning little ahead from the SQL world, right? So far we have been learning a lot about the data world. Yeah. So the first step you leaped in was to understand the data. How are you understanding the data? You're seeing it in a more tabular way in a database. You have installed MySQL and you're seeing and you're joining the data and you're seeing all that, isn't it? Yeah. So now we had spoken earlier that the dedicated softwares have been built. Like for example, this is the data, we call these as SQL engines. There are a whole lot of products which have been built on it. You might have already heard about Oracle, yeah, MySQL, and whole lot of other softwares. There are so many database engines which have been made. DB engines is what we call, or SQL engines, right? This is what you're learning, how the data is getting structured, right? These are traditional databases. In coming days, you will also see the latest recent industry, latest technologies, right? NoSQL, okay? And then there's so many of doing, so many ways of doing it. Graph database, you'll get to hear all that. We'll all be doing all that, okay? So now talking on to the traditional database where you're seeing the data into a M into a N matrix, yeah? So now this component understands only SQL. Do we all agree? This understands a language of only structured query language. You need to give a query, that too in a structured way. If the data is structured, you need to give a query, and they have made a language out of it. You understand only that. Agree? But now, if the same data, if you are asked to bring it into a Java world, okay? So mostly we spoke the other day, right? What is software? Why are we building software application? How does it help humankind? All of that, yeah. Mostly you would want to present the data on an UI, isn't it? The data what gets persisted here or what gets stored here need to be presented on an UI. Agree? Yeah. In a so many different ways. You might have structured the data in a certain way, but you would want to see the data in a different way, and you query for that reason. Agree? So now if you are asked to bring this data onto a Java world, this is a Java world, okay? So when you are asked to bring the data into a Java as a programming language, or this platform will understand only Java. Java does not understand this, right? This SQL language. Yeah. This understands. If Sonia understands only Hindi, she can talk only in Hindi, right? Java understands only Java language. Yeah. This is a Java component. And your UI will understand only HTML. Agree? Your browsers will understand only HTML. Your browsers are also called client. Okay. And this is server. That is why they always called it as a client server communication. All right. So if we have to bring this data which is into a form of a table structure, M into N matrix, if we need to bring this data into Java, so the way they do it is there is something called JDBC. JDBC. J is this, D is this database, Java database. J is this, DB stands for database, C stands for connectivity. Okay, Java and database connectivity. So they have already made an API for you. They have already made a library for you where you could easily get this data and bring it onto this platform. You are not writing any big code. Everything is being given to you. They give you the driver. For example, what is a driver? We have put the TV on, right? And then there is an extension box. That's a driver there. You are not going and making a connection. You are not going and taking your wire and putting it into a certain main line, right? No, right? So a driver is already made there. So it is so easy for you where you will plug in and your TV will be on. You getting it? So that is what is a driver. So JDBC gives you a driver. There is a driver, JDBC driver. You make use of that driver, and it's nothing but a package, and it gives you a whole lot of functions, and you make use of that, and then it is ready to connect and pull the data or insert the data. Okay. So when you do this, what are those basic essential things? Because you're talking from one server to another server. Okay, this is also residing on a certain server, and this is also residing on a different server. So now when if I go to Sonia's home, I need to know her address. Agree? And I need to build a connection with her, because I need to know her, right, before I speak to her. There should be some objective, right? So we always make some connection. Okay, you're making a connection with that particular component. How do you make a connection? I need to have its IP address. I need to know where it is, right, where the server is, and with the port number. Agree? And then along with connection, I also need to be authorized to talk to Sonia, right? They may have a gate in front of their home. That is a authorization, right? Why would you put a gate in front of your home? You do not want people to come to your front door directly. They will, either you would have locked your gate so that you create that layer of protection, right, for yourself. Yeah, kind of firewall and all, so that people don't come to your front door, or do not enter into living room directly. Okay, like for that, what you would have done here, you would have given a username and password. Okay, so that they are not only who is authorized can access the database. Okay, yeah, so this is the authorization. You make a connection. Once you make a connection, what you will do is you should know that language what you want to speak, right? You cannot speak Java to a SQL engine. SQL engine will not understand Java. SQL engine will only understand the DDL statements and DML statements. Yeah, so queries. Yeah, so hence you make a statement. So this JDBC driver gives you a way to make the statements. Statement is nothing but, so you might have seen this. Why did they name it as a statement? If somebody is sending you something, if a court or a police or some authority, what they would say, we have sent a statement, is what they say. In a literal meaning, they also say it as a notice, right? Or they also say, we have sent you a statement, where you need to respond to that. You have heard, right, experienced that, right? So you make a statement. Statement is nothing but the query what you are making. Here it is a query. All right, so you make a statement, you first make a connection, you then make a statement, and then you execute this statement. You execute this statement. Where will you execute? You will execute it on this. And when you execute on this, it will give you a response. And that response is nothing, is called a result set. We will talk more on it. Okay, so how do I share this? Okay, so here is a sample code. So a simple class, this class, what it is trying to do, this class is actually trying to connect to a database. Yeah, so we just said, right, this is address, URL, inform resource locator. Okay, so this is an URL, this is an address, that IP address what you are trying to connect, right? So this is a username, that authorization, and this is a query. You just saw that, right? Yeah, so this is the driver which was telling, JDBC driver, right? So this driver is making a connection by passing URL, user, and password. Are we clear on this? You're making a connection by sending these three details. I know the address of Sonia. I have the password to talk to Sonia. Clear? And with that, I get an access to talk to Sonia. So when I get this access, yeah, I make using that access, I am going to make a request to Sonia saying, give me a laptop or something like that. That is my query to her. I'm making an instruction, or I'm requesting her, I'm querying her, create statement. I made a statement, and I make a statement and I will request her, execute that query. Yeah, we're executing that query to the database, and that it will give us the result set. So now what is a result set? We'll talk about it. So result set, you just try to understand this, and I will draw it and show. Result set is definitely some result. Agree? You queried something to the database and it is giving you some result. But what is that result? The result is nothing but a set. The other day we spoke about the sets, right? You know about the set theory. Set is what? It is definitely a collection. Agree? It is trying to get you something. It is many data, because in the table you will not have just one row, right? It may be one row or many row. It is one to many. Agree? So when you do while, you are doing this rs dot next. So this rs, everything is made for you, right? This is standard code. They have made this class. Yeah, and you use a next method, it is going to take you to the next row. If 5 rows are there, if your result set got you the 5 rows, this next will take you to the next step. Next, this will loop for the 5 times. All right, so we will try to understand the result set in detail. So let us assume I have 5 rows. Okay, I have ID, I have name, yeah, I have gender and last update date. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5. You, from your Java code, what you will do, you will write a statement called select star from this employee table. Okay, what it will do, this is a very generic query, right? You did a select star, hence it will give you all these 5 rows. And when these 5 rows will come, so now of course this table is getting stored in a table structure, right? Now this needs to get converted into an object, because Java is all about object. Java stores this data, this whatever this row, these rows, 5 rows need to get converted into a Java object, isn't it? Yeah, because Java understands each of this row will be something like this, object 1. All are of this type. Let us assume I created an object called employee. Okay, object 1 of employee, object 2 of employee, object 3 of employee, object 4 of employee, object 5 of employee. Yeah, so employee is one class. Now Java it has to get the data this way. Okay, now your result set is precisely doing that, but result set is getting it in a more generic way. They have written a very generic driver where anybody who uses this package can get this data easily. You are writing it in an employee table, but then you can use result set is applicable for any table in the world. They have written the code in such a generic way. Okay, so what happens is how result set gets it. Result set stores the data like this. This is your result set. Let us assume this is your object, result set object. It takes your column, so it makes as many number of rows you have, right? It makes that kind of array. It makes that list. Okay, so let us assume this is an array, 1 2 3 4 values, right? You have 1 column, 2 column, 3 column, you have 4 column and 5 rows. So your matrix is 5 into 4. Agree? So it will get the data into this matrix form, and the data will be stored in your result set in that matrix form. Okay, so let us mimic that. Let us say rs has object 1, object 2, object 3, yeah, likewise object 4 and object 5. object 4 and object 5. So what happens with this is, so now what is our goal? So now these, each of these object 1, object 2, object 3, object 4 are representing each of your rows. Yeah. But now we want to go to the next level. These rows is what you know. Okay. Each of one row is one object. Of course, this object will have to carry this information. Okay. But now what you want is, you want to go one level below and you want to see, okay, I want this value, I want this value, I want this value, column level value. Row is done. Now I want column value. Row 1, column 1, row 2, column 2, row 3, column 3, sorry, row 1, column 3, row 1, column 1, row 1, column 2, row 1, column 3, like that. Yeah. You getting me? Yeah. So that needs to get stored here. So I will write it here for you. Row 1, column 1, or I will write it this way. Row 1, column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. Agree? Object 2 will have to have like this. Row 2, column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. Okay. So they will store it in a generic Java object, and in that Java object, they will store these columns as the variables inside that, very generic variables. So they will see this type. Okay, ID column is a number. So it will say, they will set the value column 1, counter 1, variable 1. They would have written a very generic Java code, variable 1. That's type is number, value. It will put this value. You'll get to know when you practice it. Okay, don't worry much. Okay, when you practice it and when you revisit this video, you're going to get it more better when you will do the hands-on. Don't get confused. Okay. So here, that is what they are trying to do. Result set get int at the first position, right? What was there? They had something called ID. At the first position, there is ID, right? Here. So they got the ID. At the second position, it is an age. So they got the whatever they pass, right? That column they are passing that column name, ID, age, last, first. Yeah, that is of a type string, they know. So whatever you pass it to that, it would have stored with that generic name. It would have set a variable with a name called ID. Okay. So what is there in the database, it gets you in an object form here. Okay. We will stop here. Tomorrow we will see these things, right? We will try to add them a little better. We will, the way I showed you an example, right? From result set, I could easily transfer this into, if I were to write only for my project, I would have put it into my class, employee class, like this, right? Result set, it's so generic, right? Everybody in the entire world, you'll get the data like this, and later we move the data from here to here. So that is something we will talk tomorrow, how that happens. Okay, I'll stop here for questions.